Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so hello and welcome to the Segal AmeriCorps Education Award webinar. I am Alina Zarati, the Equal Heart AmeriCorps Program Coordinator. As you begin to wrap up your AmeriCorps term of service, I want to make sure that all of the members have a good understanding about how to use your Segal Education Award. This is a live webinar for today, July 27th. But it'll also be recorded so that you can reference it later on, or if for whatever reason you need to leave halfway through, feel free. We will be recording this and then sharing it with all the members next week. Should you have any questions, make sure that you type them into the chat box, and I'll answer all questions at the end of the webinar. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So the agenda for today, we will be covering what is an education award, uses of the education award, tax obligations, if you can transfer it, and how to use your AmeriCorps portal to access your education award. So today we're going to be walking through some of the very basic steps to some of the more complex steps of the education award. We have a lot to cover, so let's go ahead and get into it. So what is an education award? So an education award is a sum of money that is determined based on the amount of hours you serve or your type of membership. Majority of Equal Heart AmeriCorps members for the summertime are going to be their minimum time members, which serve 300 hours, or you are could be reduced full time, or it could be quarter time, which is 450 hours for the summer. So you can find your type of membership along with the amount of your education award within your member service agreement if you're unsure of the full amount that you should be receiving. So this money is good for 7 years after the first date the award is placed into your AmeriCorps account. So if not used, your education award will be gone and you will not get any of that money back. So we really want to emphasize you using it within that 7-year period. It's only available to you after a successful term of service. So this means that you finished all your hours, served until the end date, and left in good standing with Equal Heart. You will not receive your education award if you were exited for cause. If you are exited for compelling personal circumstance and left the program early, you'll receive a portion of your education award as long as you serve over 15% of the total hours. The percentage of your hours served will determine the amount of the education award that you will receive. For example, if you serve 150 hours of your total amount of hours of 300, then you'll receive half of your total education award since you've served half of the amount of total hours. This is only if you are exited for compelling personal circumstance. Again, if you are exited for cause, which is something that is within your control, you get another job and you have to quit, or you just are fed up with the program, no longer want to stay, all of those reasons are for cause, and you will not receive any of your education award. So the education award is available online on your AmeriCorps portal. It's very important to remember your login information back whenever we had you all enroll in the AmeriCorps portal. I know that seems forever ago now, and it was just a couple months back, but there is a way of retrieving it. You would have to call the hotline, and we'll get into that a little bit more later on. So the money is paid directly to your school or student loan servicer. It is not sent to you in cash. VISTA members have an option to receive a cash stipend in place of the education award, but all AmeriCorps members are state and national AmeriCorps members, so you do not get the option to cash it out. So if you do see things on the internet about that, that's more likely about a VISTA member, and just remembering that you are all state and national AmeriCorps members. And there is a limit of the education awards that you can receive, which is 2 full awards. This means that if you do a full 12-month term, this is equal to 1 education award. Anything less than 12 months is equal to half an education award. So typically, Equal Heart doesn't do full-time member service types. So you would end up being able to serve 4 terms with Equal Heart normally. And with that, you would receive your 2 full education awards, considering that each term will be half. Okay, moving on to the uses of the Education Award. The Education Award can be used in 2 ways, for current educational expenses and qualified student loans. So we're going to dive in deep into breaking these 2 down and understanding what exactly they mean. So current education expense are defined by your school, but commonly used for tuition, fees, supplies. This can be used at a community college, a 4-year university, or a graduate school. You can use your Education Award beyond tuition, which can include board and room and equipment. That is directly attributed to the class. So for example, if you are a graphic design major, this is an easy and good way that you can get a new computer because you need it for better programming or anything like that. As long as it's directly related to the class, then you would be able to use the money towards it. So eligible schools, your Education Award will be accepted at any Title V institutions. That means institutions that receive federal financial aid, which is also known as FAFSA. So there are over 30,000 institutions, including some in Mexico and Canada. You can get creative with this and include trade schools, enrichment classes, outdoor and international programs. So I've seen this used from yoga certifications to backpacking expeditions. A common place for alum to do this is through NOLS and Outward Bound. So they partner with Western State, Colorado State, and they have a large AmeriCorps alum that studies with them. They offer wilderness and outdoor leadership and certification programs. Along with that, they will also match $2,000 of your AmeriCorps for AmeriCorps alum that are taking expeditions with them. So also a great way to get that money to work for you. So some of the benefits, some institutions will go beyond just accepting the award, but will also match or offer scholarships for AmeriCorps alum. For example, Texas A&M's Bush School of Government and Public Service, which is a master's program, offers to waive the application fee and a minimum of $5,000 per year scholarship. Another example, Baylor University's Garland School of Social Work, another master program, offers to waive the application fee and offers scholarships that can range from 50 to 100% off tuition for 2 years. So definitely take advantage of the benefits that you would receive as an AmeriCorps alum. Definitely look into it, especially if you're considering going to graduate school or just continuing your education in general. So the Education Award has benefits such as matching institutions, which means that the institution will match the amount of money that you use from your Education Award. For a full list of institutions, you can find it on the link above. I'll also include the link whenever we send out the webinar as well. Your Education Award can be used to pay off your student loans, but they do have to be qualified student loans, with qualified being the most important part. They must be issued by the U.S. government or state agencies such as a Perkins or direct loans. And loans that don't qualify are private loans. So those loans will not be able, you will not be able to use them or use your Education Award to pay off those loans, as well as emergency loans and Parent Plus loans. the loan term does not matter, meaning it could be current or defaulted. So forbearance, when serving with AmeriCorps, you can place your loans on forbearance. You would have to contact your loan officer to do this. You would have to request for your loan to be placed on forbearance through the AmeriCorps account, and we'll cover that in more detail a little bit later. Just to be clear, after you've submitted the request through the AmeriCorps Portal, when you'll still need to speak with your loan officer to get it approved. There is a chance that your forbearance does not get approved. This is completely out of Equal Hearts and AmeriCorps' control. That decision relies completely on your loan servicer. Interest payments. Your education award can pay for interest accrued during your term of service. However, this doesn't happen automatically. You must go to your AmeriCorps portal to process this request. It is best to ask for forbearance or payments on interest at the beginning of your service. This is the easiest request to submit and to get approved. The amount of interest that CNCS will pay depends on a couple of things. So one being your term of service, and two, the length of forbearance. So normally they will cover 100%. That is not a guarantee though. Definitely depends on those two factors that I mentioned just a second ago. But just a good thing to remember is that you will be taxed on the interest that CNCS pays towards your loan. Okay, so when should you expect your education award? Your education award will be sent to your AmeriCorps account about a week to 2 weeks after you have exited your term of service. Then it could take your school about 2 to 3 weeks to process the funds, follow up with your financial aid office, and if you are sending it directly to your school, the payments will be made in 2 installments. So once at the beginning of the semester or term, and the other at the halfway or midpoint of the semester. So it is important to understand that the quicker you do your exit paperwork at the end of your term, the quicker that we can get your education award process to you. From there, you will have to send it to your school or send it to your loan servicer, and from there it can take another 2 to 3 weeks. So definitely, if you need your education award as soon as possible, then let the AmeriCorps department know so that we can make sure that we are fast tracking you along so that you can get your education award if you are starting classes in the fall. So let's go over the tax obligations. Your education award is considered taxable income by the government. The National Service Trust does not withhold taxes from your education award or interest payments, but there may be an impact on your overall tax responsibility based off of how much you use of your education award. So tax implications exist for the year that your education award is used and the amount that it's used for. So this means that if you get your education award this year, right, for 2019, but you don't use it until 2020, then your tax amount will be shown on 2020, not on 2019. So it's only for the years that you use it. Okay. So tax implications exist only for the year that you use your education award. So for example, let's say you use your award, like how we're saying, in 2020, and you use $200 of it. So the amount used, which is $200, is going to show up in your 2020 taxes as taxable income. Anything that is over $599, CNCS will file to you as a 1099 miscellaneous form within the given tax year. So at the getting close to tax season, you will receive a 1099 miscellaneous if you use more than $599 of your education award. So CNCS will be mailing that out to you, and you also have access to it on the AmeriCorps portal whenever we come closer to tax time. So your education award can bump you into a higher tax bracket, and that is something to be very aware of and can change how much taxes you'll have to pay at the end of the year, or can impact if you end up getting a refund or not. Easiest way around paying a lot at tax season is breaking down your education award. Only spend portions of it within a given tax year. So if you are able to, I would strongly recommend using $599 or less per tax year, so then you won't get that miscellaneous form and you don't have to account for that given money. So then that way you don't move around in the tax brackets or anything like that. You don't have to necessarily worry about it too much. So transferability. Your education award can be transferred if you are 55 years old or older by the beginning of your service. So that means whenever you started serving, if you are over the age or at the age of 55 years old, you can transfer your education award. The award can only be transferred to children, including stepchildren, grandchildren. Recipients cannot use the interest accrued. The recipient has 10 years from the date of service, not from the date of transfer. In the case of an AmeriCorps member's death, there is a way of making sure that the next of kin has access to your education award. You will still have to qualify for your education award and have a signed power of attorney to get your into your AmeriCorps account. But in the case that you do pass away before you use your education award, there is a way for your next of kin to be able to request the education award on your behalf and use it on qualified recipients. Again, that being children, including stepchildren and grandchildren. Other than that, you cannot transfer your education award at all, or even pay something for somebody else's school. So let's say, your friend is struggling and you want to help them pay for their school. There's not a way of transferring it over. It can only be used on you. Of course, the exception, if you are 55 years or older, then you can use it on your grandchildren, stepchildren, or your children in general. So now looking at the AmeriCorps portal. So this is where you'll be making all of your requests and also have access to your education award. So you'll gain access to it within a few weeks of completing your term. You will be notified through email from CNCS letting you know that your education award is now available in your portal. So any payments or requests that you're making is going to be online at the web address stated. Again, I'll include all the links whenever we send out the webinar as well. So it is a three-step process for any request. First, you must log in and select the request type, amount, and school. Then the request gets sent to the chosen school or your service loaner, and the school verifies that you are a student, or your loan verifies that it is you, and you can use the award. Then the request goes back to CNCS for disbursement. Then they give the funds directly to your school. So that means that you definitely need to be communicating with your financial aid office because the majority of the communication is going to go directly from CNCS directly to financial aid office. And it's kind of confusing and you can get kind of out of the loop real quick. And it's best to be able to have lines of communication so that if you are questioning what's the status of the money being sent over, it'll be best to go to the financial aid office and figure out what's the holdup. So now we're going to walk through how to access different types of requests through the AmeriCorps portal. First, you'll have to log into your AmeriCorps account, which whenever you type in the web address, this is what it's going to pull up as. If for whatever reason you forgot your username and password, that is not something that Equal Heart has the availability to view. So you would have to go down here to forgot your username, forgot your password. If neither one of those work or for whatever reason you forgot both, that's completely fine. You would just have to call this 1-800 number and they will be able to verify your account using your personal information such as your name, date of birth, and your social security number. Okay, so after you have logged in, this is what the homepage will look like. On the left-hand side, under the My AmeriCorps red heading right here, you'll need to click on the plus sign next to My Education Award. So right here where my mouse is, you'd click on that, and it's going to drop down your options of what you can do with your Education Award. You're going to select the request that you're interested in using. So create a forbearance request, create interest payment request, create Education Award payment request. Then now we're going to follow it as if we're doing a forbearance or a payment request. So this one is for a forbearance request. Your information should automatically populate right here in this blacked out text area. If you have served multiple terms of service, then you'll need to select which term of Education Award you want to use. So right here you would have a drop down, you'd be able to select which term and Education Award you're using. You would then search for your institution that you want the money to be sent to. In the notes, you can include things like the type of loan that you're requesting the money to be sent for, or a loan or account number. I know whenever I was in school, they had like a student number that they wanted that on every single financial document that you would ever process with them. So I'd always include my my student number right there. And then you just want to make sure that all this information is correctly filled out. You definitely want to review it 1 or 2 times just to make sure that you are completely fine with what you're submitting. And then after you've looked over it very carefully, you are going to hit the submit button at the bottom. Okay, so for the Segal Education Award payment request, your information again should automatically populate within this black box that is blacked out right now. And you, again, if you've served multiple terms, you'll be able to select which term in the previous page. So then after that, you'll be able to say the type of payment that you are requesting. So is this a loan payment or is it going to directly to an institution? Then you're going to select the amount of money that you're authorizing to be sent to the institution or to the loan servicer. Make sure that you are typing in exactly what you want sent. Very important to review your information multiple times before you hit submit. So after you put in the amount of money that you are sending over, you are going to search for the institution that you want the money to be sent to. Again, it's pretty easy. You just start looking through you type in your school's name and it should pop up right there, as long as they are a qualified school. Again, if they accept FAFSA, then you should be able to use them as well. So after that, you are going to click on the 3 boxes, certifying, and then at the very bottom, you would hit the submit button. I strongly, strongly, strongly recommend looking over this information more than once and just being 100% sure that you are ready to submit that money over and just sure what the amount of money that you're sending over. Okay, so after you submitted your request, so most importantly, remember that this can take 2 to 3 weeks for your school to process the funds. The most important thing is to communicate with a financial aid office. You can also track your request within the My AmeriCorps account. to see if your institution has accepted the money, or to see if the money is still in the National Service Trust. It's an easy way of just clicking in, and it'll show you on what side it's where the holdup is. So make sure you communicate to the financial aid office, and if you're having trouble with the trust side of things, then you can always call the National Service Hotline. So this is the National Service Hotline number. So if you need any help, again, like even if you're just logging into the portal for the first time and you forgot your login information or your password, they can help you with that. If you're not understanding where your educational award is at because you've already submitted a request, you can call them and they'll let you know what the holdup is. Or if you're just experiencing error message and for whatever reason the internet isn't working with you, you can also call them and they'll be more than happy to help you. Just a reminder though, they are normally open normal business hours Monday through Friday. So there is a chance that you don't catch them at a time that they're open. So just make sure that you give them a call back later on or leave a voicemail letting them know the questions that you had. So you can also access them through an online chat box. So that will be, I'll include a website to that, or the link to that as well. But you can also access them there. Okay. So at this time, I would like to go ahead and answer any questions. If you have any questions, make sure you type them into the chat box. And I'll give you a couple minutes to think of some questions or type them in. Okay, I have one question. How long do I have to use the award? Do I have to use it now? So no, you do not have to use your educational award right now. Remember, you do have 7 years to use your educational award. So from the date that we exit you and your educational award goes to your account, that's when the timer starts ticking. From there, you have 7 years. And then again, if you are over the age of 55 and you transfer it to a child, grandchild, stepchild, or your own children, then they will have 10 years from that initial start date. I'll give it a couple more minutes for any other questions. I had another question come in asking the amount of the education award. So the amount of your education award is going to vary depending on the type of member that you are. So if you are a minimum time member, then you'll be receiving $1,230.69. So that is before taxes. Again, there's ways of getting around the tax obligations by using $599 or less for your educational award within a tax season. So just letting you know, it does depend though on the type of member that you are. You can also find that full amount in your member service agreement. Give it a couple more minutes for any last questions. Okay, if there are no more questions then, thank you for joining me today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is on the screen right now. And for whatever reason, if you are having trouble with a previous term that you already have an education award for, you can definitely reach out to me. I can help troubleshoot that with you as well. So we're going to go ahead and wrap up. We wrapped up kind of early, so we'll actually be starting the next webinar, which is how to create a compelling resume, here in about 30 minutes or so. Okay. Thank you, everybody, and I hope you stay on for the next webinar.